The deception unveiled. The Galactic Consortium had always viewed Earth as a manageable anomaly. For centuries, humanity had been carefully observed, subtly guided, and methodically restrained. To the 17 elder species that comprised the consortium's ruling council, humans were fascinating but dangerous, a species whose rapid technological advancement and inherent aggression required constant monitoring. The great halls of the consortium headquarters on Proxima Station hummed with the usual activity. Representatives from 1,000 worlds moved through the gleaming corridors, their varied physiologies a testament to the diversity of life in the known galaxy. Floating translators, adaptive environment fields, and diplomatic AIs ensured that all species could communicate and coexist in the shared space. In the central monitoring chamber, Director Vexilor of the Containment Protocol Division studied the latest reports from Earth. His 4 eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of satisfaction among the Tellurian species. Another successful intervention, he noted to his assistant. The humans have been prevented from discovering quantum entanglement communication technology for the 3rd time. Clear's throat. His assistant, a tall meridian with crystalline skin that refracted light in shifting patterns, nodded. The academic who was approaching a breakthrough has been successfully redirected. Our agent convinced the university to cut his funding. Vexilor's mouth parts clicked together, in what passed for a smile. Excellent. Without instantaneous communication, their expansion will remain limited to their solar system. The consortium had a long history of such interventions. For over 300 years, they had carefully managed humanity's growth, allowing them to advance in certain areas while systematically preventing breakthroughs in others. The humans believed themselves to be alone in the galaxy, their radio signals unanswered, their search for extraterrestrial life fruitless. They didn't know that every probe they sent beyond their solar system was quietly intercepted. They didn't know that the strange malfunctions in their most promising technologies were deliberate sabotage. They didn't know that many of the scientific dead ends they encountered were carefully engineered by alien infiltrators. Humanity was kept in a cage, but one so large and so subtle that they never realized they were imprisoned. It was a policy the consortium had implemented many times before, with emerging species deemed too volatile to join galactic society without restraint. Some species were contained for a few decades until they matured. Others, like the war-loving Krell, had been contained for millennia. Director, a voice called from across the chamber. We have an alert from observation post Sigma 9. Vexilor turned, his curiosity piqued. Sigma 9 monitored the outer reaches of Earth's solar system, hidden within the Kuiper Belt. What is it? Unknown vessels have appeared near Neptune. They're not matching any known human design patterns. Vexilor moved swiftly to the central display. Show me. The holographic projection blossomed to life, revealing the gas giant Neptune in the background, and in the foreground, a fleet of sleek vessels. They were clearly warships, their design optimized for speed and offensive capability. But most troubling of all, they bore the emblems of Earth. Impossible, Vexilor whispered. Their technology is nowhere near this advanced. Our last assessment indicated they were at least 50 years from achieving this level of propulsion. As the consortium observers watched in growing alarm, the Earth fleet began methodical maneuvers around Neptune, deploying smaller craft and what appeared to be automated mining stations. They're harvesting atmospheric gases, one analyst reported, likely for fuel production. Vexilor's skin paled. How many ships are we counting? Over 300 in this fleet alone, Director, and our sensors are detecting similar activity near Saturn. The implications were staggering. The consortium's entire containment strategy was predicated on the belief that humanity was still confined to Earth and its immediate surroundings. Put it through, Vexilor ordered, his voice steady despite his mounting concern. The main screen flickered and a human face appeared. A woman with dark skin and sharp eyes gazed out at them, wearing a uniform none of the consortium analysts recognized. "Greetings, Director Vexilor," she said, her lips curving into a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "I am Admiral Helena Chen of the Earth Defense Force. I believe it's time we had a conversation." Vexilor stood frozen, his 4 eyes fixed on the screen. "How do you know my name?" he finally managed. Admiral Chen's smile widened slightly. "We know a great deal about the consortium, Director. We've been studying you for quite some time, just as you've been studying us." "Impossible," Vexilor said again, though with less conviction. "I understand your confusion," Chen continued. "You believe your containment protocols were working. You thought we were unaware of your existence, let alone your interference in our development." She leaned forward slightly. "You were wrong." Vexilor's mind raced. This confrontation was unprecedented. In all the consortium's history, no contained species had ever become aware of their containment without the consortium deliberately revealing themselves. "I don't know what you're talking about," he attempted, falling back on protocol for unplanned first contact scenarios. Admiral Chen laughed, the sound sharp and without humor. "Please, Director. We've known about the consortium for over a century. We've intercepted your agents, studied your technology, and monitored your monitoring stations." Her expression hardened. "We've watched you sabotage our brightest minds and stifle our potential. We simply chose not to let you know that we knew." Before Vexilor could respond, the emergency alert system blared throughout the station. Reports flooded in from all sectors of consortium space. Earth ships had appeared near dozens of consortium worlds and installations. Not just warships, but massive vessels of unknown configuration. Their purpose unclear, but their presence undeniable. "What is the meaning of this?" Vexilor demanded, fear finally breaking through his diplomatic veneer. "Is this a declaration of war?" "Not at all," Admiral Chen replied calmly. "This is a revelation. For centuries, we've allowed you to believe that your containment was effective. We played the role you expected of us, the primitive species slowly developing, unaware of the greater galaxy." Her expression grew fiercer. "But all the while, we were preparing. Beyond your sensors, beyond your comprehension, we built our true civilization." The implications crashed over Vexilor like a wave. "The Earth we've been monitoring a carefully constructed facade," Chen finished for him. "Oh, it's real enough. Those humans aren't actors or simulations. They simply aren't all of us." She gestured, and the view pulled back to reveal a command center far more advanced than anything the consortium had believed humans capable of creating. "While your observers watched our surface development, the majority of our population moved underground and into space habitats hidden from your sensors. The Earth you monitored was essentially our public face, a small percentage of our population living out the expected narrative, while the rest of us built our true civilization." On screens throughout the consortium headquarters, reports continued to pour in. Human ships had appeared in systems thought to be secret. Hidden consortium research stations were suddenly surrounded by Earth vessels. Communication hubs found themselves hosting uninvited human observers. The entire carefully constructed network of consortium power was laid bare, exposed to the species they had thought contained. "For what purpose?" Vexilor asked, his voice barely audible. "Why maintain this deception for so long?" Admiral Chen's expression was implacable. "To understand our enemy before revealing ourselves, to learn your weaknesses, your blind spots, your vulnerabilities, to build the civilization and a military beyond your ability to threaten." She leaned forward, her voice dropping slightly. "And most importantly, to ensure that when humanity finally announced its presence to the galaxy, we would do so from a position of unassailable strength." Vexilor felt the weight of centuries of miscalculation bearing down on him. "What do you want?" "I've been authorized to extend an invitation," Chen replied. In 6 standard days, Earth will host the formation of a new Galactic Council. We invite the consortium to send representatives. Her smile returned, cold and confident. Attendance is, of course, optional. But I would strongly advise against absence. The transmission ended abruptly, leaving the consortium leadership staring at blank screens and facing a new reality. The species they had thought contained had not only escaped its cage, but had built an empire in secret. As emergency meetings were called and analysts scrambled to assess the true extent of human capabilities, one thing became abundantly clear. The galactic order was about to change forever. The consortium had made a fatal error. They had believed they were the ones watching Earth. They never considered that Earth might be watching them back. The new galactic order. The Grand Assembly Hall of the consortium was in chaos. Representatives from 1,000 worlds shouted over one another, their translator devices struggling to keep pace with the cacophony of languages and dialects. Fear hung in the air, thick and palpable. At the center of the storm stood Archon Navilium, the elected leader of the Consortium Council. His tall, gaunt form was hunched with the weight of the crisis. His normally lustrous blue scales dulled with stress. "Order!" he bellowed, his voice amplified by the chamber's acoustics. "We must have order!" Gradually, the tumult subsided, though the tension remained. "The facts are these," Navilium began, his voice grave. 6 days ago, humanity revealed themselves to be far more advanced and widespread than our containment protocols had detected. They have established a presence in over 200 star systems, including 47 that were thought to be exclusively under consortium control. Murmurs rippled through the assembly. Their technological capabilities exceed our current estimates by centuries. Their military strength, while still being assessed, appears to rival that of the combined consortium defense fleet. He paused, letting the implications sink in. And today, they will convene their Galactic Council with or without our participation. A Viridian representative rose, her translucent tentacles quivering with emotion. Clears throat. "This is unprecedented. No contained species has ever achieved this level of development without detection. Our entire security paradigm is compromised. The humans have made no hostile moves," countered a representative from the Talaxian Federation, one of the younger member species. "They've revealed themselves, yes, but they've initiated no conflicts." Director Vex Lore, now the focus of much resentment for his division's failure, spoke up. "Make no mistake, this reveal was itself an act of aggression. They have demonstrated an ability to penetrate our most secure systems, monitor our private communications, and deploy forces throughout our territory without detection." His 4 eyes blinked rapidly, a sign of extreme distress. "They have effectively proven that they could strike at any time, from any direction, with forces we cannot track." The assembly dissolved into anxious discussion once more. Navilium allowed it for a moment before calling for silence again. "The question before us is simple, though the answer may not be," he said. "Do we attend this human council and acknowledge their new status, or do we refuse and risk potential conflict?" Far from the consortium's deliberations, Admiral Helena Chen stood on the observation deck of the Earth vessel Prometheus, watching as ships from across the galaxy arrived at the designated coordinates. The location had been chosen carefully, a star system unclaimed by any major power with a habitable but uninhabited world that now hosted the newly constructed council facility. "Admiral," her aide reported, "we've received confirmation from 37 independent worlds and 14 minor alliances. They will attend." Chen nodded, unsurprised. The independent worlds had long chafed under consortium influence. Many had been subjected to the same containment protocols as Earth before being deemed safe for limited galactic interaction. They had no love for the elder species and their controlling policies. "And the consortium?" she asked. Still deliberating, according to our sources. They're divided on how to respond. Chen smiled slightly. They'll come. Pride will demand it. She turned as the deck door slid open, admitting General Dmitry Volkov, commander of Earth's military forces and her longtime friend. Impressive turnout, Volkov noted, gazing at the growing collection of alien vessels visible through the viewport. Ships of all configurations, some resembling Earth designs, others utterly alien, moved into the designated diplomatic orbits around the planet below. The oppressed always recognize an opportunity when they see it, Chen replied. The consortium's control has been slipping for centuries. We're simply the catalyst for its final collapse. Volkov nodded thoughtfully. Any word from the other hidden species? This was humanity's greatest secret, one not even hinted at during their reveal to the consortium. Earth had not been alone in its deception. 3 other species under consortium containment had also discovered the truth and developed in secret. Earth had made contact with them decades ago, forming an alliance, built on shared resentment of consortium interference. The Valerians are already here, Chen confirmed. The Nyx and Tressarian delegations will arrive within the hour. Together, the 4 hidden species represented a power block that could rival the consortium, especially now that many independent worlds were flocking to their banner. It's almost time, Volkov said, checking the chronometer on his wrist. History awaits. On the planet below, the Great Hall of E, Concord gleamed under the light of an alien sun. Built in secret over the past decade, it represented the architectural styles of dozens of species, a physical manifestation of the new order Earth hoped to create. Ambassador Marcus Reed adjusted his formal uniform as he prepared to take the central podium. Around the vast amphitheater, representatives from worlds across the galaxy took their places. Some were familiar allies, others newly arrived independents curious about this new power, and still others, potential adversaries watching carefully. At precisely the appointed time, the massive doors at the rear of the hall swung open. A delegation of consortium representatives entered, led by Arch-Consul Navilium himself. His presence was a tacit admission of the new reality. The consortium could not afford to ignore this gathering. Reed allowed himself a small smile before composing his features into a mask of diplomatic neutrality. The plan conceived generations ago was unfolding exactly as intended. His great-grandfather had been among the first to discover the consortium's interference. A brilliant physicist on the verge of a breakthrough in faster-than-light communication, he had uncovered evidence of sabotage in his lab. Rather than expose what he found, he had taken his research underground, literally. That had been the beginning of Earth's shadow development. As the consortium delegation took their seats, Reed stepped to the podium. The universal translators hummed to life, ready to convert his words into hundreds of languages simultaneously. Distinguished representatives, he began, his voice steady and clear. Today marks the beginning of a new era in galactic history. For too long, the development of younger species has been controlled by those who feared competition. For too long, artificial constraints have been placed on the natural progress of civilizations deemed too aggressive or too unpredictable to join galactic society as equals. His gaze swept the hall, lingering momentarily on the consortium, representatives whose expressions ranged from stony to openly hostile. Humanity rejected these constraints. We built in secret what we were forbidden to build in the open, and we discovered we were not alone in our resistance. He gestured to the delegations from the Valorian, Nyx, and Tressarian worlds. Together, we and our allies represent a new approach to galactic governance, one based on cooperation rather than control, on mutual respect rather than managed development. Murmurs spread through the assembly as Many representatives realized for the first time that Earth's rebellion against consortium oversight was not isolated, but coordinated with other species. The Galactic Concord we propose today offers all worlds, regardless of their developmental stage, the opportunity to determine their own future. No more containment protocols, no more sabotaged research, no more hidden monitors and manipulated governments. Reed paused, allowing his words to settle across the vast chamber. Some will call this naive. They will warn that without careful management, younger species will destroy themselves or others. His expression hardened slightly. To them, I say, trust is not naivety. The desire for self-determination is not a flaw to be corrected, but a right to be respected. Archconsul Nevilium rose from his seat, his tall form commanding attention. "Ambassador Reed," he called, his voice carrying effortlessly across the hall. "You speak of rights and self-determination, yet your species concealed its true nature for centuries. You built warships and claimed territories in secret. You infiltrated our systems and monitored our activities." His eyes narrowed. "How are we to trust that your Concord is not simply exchanging one form of control for another?" Reed nodded, acknowledging the question. "A fair concern, Archconsul. Unlike the consortium, we do not ask for trust without evidence." He gestured, and the hall's holographic systems activated, displaying a complex legal document. "Before you is the Concord Charter. Its first principle is clear. No world may interfere with the internal development of another. No technology may be suppressed. No government manipulated." He looked directly at Nevilium. "These principles apply to us as much as to any other signatory. The difference between our approach and yours is simple. We offer genuine equality, not managed inclusion. Throughout the hall, representatives access the Charter through their own devices, reviewing its provisions with varying degrees of surprise and approval. Furthermore, Reed continued, the Concord will be governed by a rotating council with no permanent members. Power will never concentrate in the hands of a few elder species. The implicit criticism of the consortium's structure was unmistakable. Nevilian's scales flushed darker blue, a sign of anger among his kind. "You present yourself as liberators, yet you arrived with battle fleets and ultimatums. This is not diplomacy. It is coercion." A representative from one of the independent worlds, a small feathered being from a system long marginalized by consortium policies, rose to speak. "The consortium speaks of coercion." The translator rendered their sharp clicks and whistles into smooth language. "For 8 generations, my world has been denied access to medical technology that could have saved millions, deemed too advanced for our cultural stage of development. We did not see the consortium's containment as diplomatic then." Similar statements came from other representatives, a litany of grievances against consortium restrictions. As the debate continued, Ambassador Reed watched with satisfaction. The divisions were forming exactly as predicted. The long-suppressed worlds rallying to the Concord, the consortium's allies growing increasingly isolated. By day's end, 73 worlds had signed the Concord Charter. By the week's end, the number had grown to over 200. The consortium, still powerful but increasingly outmaneuvered, found itself facing a new galactic reality. In her private quarters aboard the Prometheus, Admiral Chen reviewed the latest intelligence reports. The consortium was mobilizing its military assets, a predictable response to their diminished diplomatic position. "They're preparing for conflict," Volkov noted, studying the same data. Chen nodded. "But they won't strike, not yet. They need time to assess our true capabilities, to search for weaknesses, and when they discover there are none." Chen's expression was grim but determined. "Then they will have a choice: adapt to the new order or fade into irrelevance." Across the stars, on worlds both ancient and new, the message spread rapidly. Humanity had not only broken free of their constraints, but had remade the galactic order in the process. They had held back for centuries, playing the role assigned to them while building their true strength in secret. Now that strength was revealed, not just in warships and technology, but in alliances and ideas that challenged the very foundations of galactic society. The age of containment was over.